fuck you. And, you know, now this video isn't advertiser friendly, which it probably won't be anyway, because, like, this is a horror review. Hello strangers, I'm Rachel Venner, and this is the after the before. Today I will be talking about the film It, 2017, and my thoughts on it. It's not good, guys, it's not. I have a lot of adaptation issues with it. I think it makes a lot of weird choices when it came to adapting the book, and there's just certain things I didn't like. To give a general review of it, it's okay. It's not special, it's just okay. It reminds me a lot of like a creepypasta in the quality of the horror. And I think the clown in it looks particularly like a character found in creepypastas, and it's like Jack the Clown or something. I forget what his name, but it's like this clown that's completely grayscale. I wouldn't say go read the creepypasta because it's like not good. Filmmaking I didn't appreciate much. There is a lot of Dutch angles in this film for like no reason. Like, I'm gonna call the director Andy because I don't want to butcher his name, even though I dislike what he's done. There's a lot of Dutch angles in this film, which are like, let me just show you. This is a Dutch angle. Let's do it more extreme. You feel off balance. The purpose of a Dutch angle is to make the viewer feel off balance because, you know, films are typically filmed really sturdy. The thing about an abundance of Dutch angles, the joke is like, can you get any more student film? Because it's, you know, it's very student filmy to do Dutch angles. And the thing is, the director of this film is made famous by his student film, Mama. The student film is a lot better than the actual film he made, though, so. I've seen the student film, I haven't seen Mama in its futility because I got bored. I get bored of horror films easily now. Like, especially, I'm not a big fan of modern horror films. I just find them really boring and, like, lazy. Like, they're very reliant on, like, jump scare stuff. I wouldn't say this is really jump scary. I feel like it's a tonal mess of a film. It's, you know, it's got those kind of comedy moments, but the comedy isn't really that good. Like, I don't think the comedy is enough to make it, and it's not like a dark comedy, because you do get a lot of horror comedy mix up where it like works really well. Your monster is a clown, you know, that, you know, a lot of comedy that gives you license for comedy-ish stuff that happen. Can we stop? I'm gonna stop the Dutch angle now. And you know, your monsters are clowns, so that gives a lot of license for comedy. I didn't like the horror, and I didn't like the comedy. I guess there was like some stuff that it's kind of funny, but I didn't like. I do kind of want to like go down a kind of spoilery where I just like talk about everything I didn't like in terms of adaptation, which I just like, I have to spoil this film and the books and stuff, so I'll leave that to the end. I'll tell you when we're there. The acting was fine, like the kids were okay. Though I didn't buy Bill Stutter at all. He did have a stutter, so yay. But it didn't feel natural. He like kind of forgot every once in a while that he had a stutter. It's very much like it. I feel like this was scripted to exactly where he would stutter, which could kind of be realistic because a lot of people have words that they like, words and sounds that they struggle with when it comes to stuttering. Other people just like, you know, it's guessing, what will you stutter on? And we'll just like stutter on everything. In the book, this is a minor adaptation thing, but it got worse once Georgie had his experience with it. Like, in terms of characters, I think Bill comes off as just being a complete and utter asshole in this adaptation. He's the worst. He's fine in this, but Bill, I hate Bill now. I don't hate Bill, actually. I just think things that were changed made Bill more into an asshole than he was in the book. I suppose this is the last spoiler-ish thing. There's going to be a sequel to this film. I did not know that going into it, but like this is technically spoiler, but like it finishes and the film finishes and you have your titles and then it goes, It Chapter 1, and I'm sitting there like, fuck you, was my actual response. And if I'd been with somebody, I think I might have had the guts to shout it instead of just like whispering fuck you in the cinema, or just like staring at, because I wasn't really like, fuck you. Also, like, there's tons of swearing in this, so fun. No sex. In terms of the casting, everyone looks much younger than Mel and Beverly. I did look it up to see the ages of the actors out of curiosity, to see if they did age them younger, or is it just because, like, it is an awkward time where, like, kids develop differently. And I did look it up, and, like, Bill and Ben, the actors are the same birth year, so like they are the same age, it's just that there are different stages of puberty. I think it might have been good to have another one of that group at the same level as Bill and Bev, because I think it was just kind of weird. Also, Bev is older than them by a year, but you can kind of get away with that with girls because, you know, girls mature faster than boys anyway. Like, girls are taller than boys at that age, so that's fine. Antagonists, before we get into the spoilers. I think this is gonna sound bad, but the main antagonist is like just straight up evil now, instead of just like, I guess obviously with the book you had room, and with the TV show you kind of had room to escalate a little bit. I can't even remember his name, but like, you know, the main Bowie guy, like, he had his motivation to what he did until near the end. And like this, I feel like he has no motivation. No motivation is given to why he goes after these kids. Like, he's just this 80s typical Bowie who has like no motivation for why he's doing what he's doing. So I didn't really like that, but I get, you know, with adoption stuff, maybe they just didn't realise how important maybe it would have been to show some motivation to why he targeted these specific kids. Like, because there was some reason why. Random weird moment. There's a scene where, like, Superman is referenced, and, like, it's Bev, like, flirting with this older gentleman, because that's how because I really enjoy the continue thing of Bev only being a sex object. I love that. That's my favourite part of it. Especially, and my second favourite is part when they just start referring to it as a bitch once they find out it's biological female. That's my second favourite. That wasn't in this. Oh, I'm so disappointed. But yeah, Bev being a sex object continues, if that's your favourite. Sorry, I can't help but read feminist stuff into films. It's once you're on about it, you can never stop. And also there's like a ton of slut shaming in this, but like, it's by bad characters, so it's like, it's not portrayed as a good thing to do, and like, it's technically against our hero, it's technically against our heroine, so whatever. Back to the point, but there's a scene where it's like, Bev, like, takes this guy's grass, like, tells this guy, like, the guy who runs the pharmacy, oh, you look just like Kent with those glasses, and he gives her his glasses, and she says, you look just like Lois Lane. I'm like, in the cinema, I'm like, no she fucking doesn't, she looks exactly like Laura Lang, or Martha Kent. And if you're, like, a major Superman fan, you're like, get that. You'll get that so hard, because the person who pays adult Bev in the TV adaptation pays Martha Kent in Smallville, and pays Laura Lang in one of the Superman films. I think she's in the last good one, so I think she's in the second one. And I don't know what year that came out, but like, I think all those films came out in the 80s, I'm pretty sure, so probably before this one, because this film is set now in 80, 88 and 89 is the years this takes place. So do with that what you will. In terms of other reference, there's a reference to Nightmare on Elm Street 5. I believe 5 is the one where Freddy Krueger comes back to possess a baby, and this is the one we learn that Freddy Krueger is the product of rape, so the 80s were problematic. This is interesting because this film steals a scare from Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. There's this very iconic scene in the third Nightmare on Elm Street. It's to do with the sink. If you look Nightmare on Elm Street sink scene, it will come up. And instead of going with the like iconic imagery of the book and that the TV adaptation actually managed to capture pretty well, probably because it wasn't as graphic as other stuff. We have this scene, actually I think about it, probably like steals from the Johnny Depp house in the first one as well. But like we have this scene that's just like, yeah, stole this from Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm gonna reference it here. The series that I'm just straight up stealing from. And is it because like Nightmare on Elm Street is also a creature that feeds on fear to live? Or is it just because I'm lazy and I'm going to steal the work of more talented people to pad out this piece of shit? Like, that makes me sound angry, but like, it's not done very well. It's just, I'm like, it makes me compare it to two things. Like, I'm comparing it to something has like a grains of nostalgia on it, and I watched as a kid, and now you're making me compare it to something else that has nostalgia on it and something I really love as a horror fan, and just like Freddy Krueger is my boy, you know, so why are you comparing yourself to like my boy Freddy? Now I've got fucking Freddy Fazbear. I love him and Chucky and the Joker, so I have a type when it comes to my deranged killers. This film sets itself to be compared to like Nightmare on Elm Street when it was good, because like, you know, like Nightmare on Elm Street was good. Nightmare on Elm Street was watchable to the fifth one. Like, you know, the sixth one is an absolute mess. The seventh one is just weird. And the eighth one is like beating the crap out of Jason, and Jason beating the crap out of him. And then there's the remake, which is ghastly, because I could talk about the remake. It's one of those films that doesn't really understand the work it's adapting. Is this one? So now I want to talk about adaptation changes. So this is kind of spoily, but also like, no, I guess not. It's like, it's what you count as spoily. So non-spoiler. I don't like it. I don't like this fact there's going to be a sequel. In terms of adaptation changes, they've actually set themselves up really badly for the sequel, and it's going to be them making up stuff completely. So, like, I don't think this has room. I don't think they've left themselves any room for a sequel. But let's get into, like, spoiler adaptation changes. So, firstly, the biggest one is that the spider does not appear. Deadlights do appear. That's probably a change for the best, because nobody really likes the spider scene. Nobody likes it in the book, and nobody likes it in the TV adaptation. So, you know, that's a fine. Just, like, stick to the iconic crown is probably a good way to go here. Pennywise is just always revealed to be the crown. Like, Pennywise is in every scare scene, and I think that's a bad thing, because it kind of, like, immediately loses all the mystery. I know as a viewer that Pennywise, this is what Pennywise is. I know as a viewer what he is. But the kids don't. And I don't know, I guess it's like equating your intelligence to be dumber than you are. Another thing is the kids ain't smart at all. The end scenes, like, there's no preparation, like in the book and the TV adaptation. And I know they're pressed for time, but like the scenes where they talk about it, and they could have had a scene where like, this is what it is. It like, because the big thing in the book and the TV adaptation is, I don't know, like the big thing in the book, which really is what they should have been adapting from. The smarter thing would have been to ignore the TV show and just like go for the book in terms of adaptation. And you know, they're choosing to just focus on the kid bit, which is, like I said, it's the more interesting part. Like the adult part is boring as hell. Like from the book, like they're smart. They're like smart kids. There's this whole big thing about Seven, like how they all need each other and how they all play a part in it, and like they figure out that it takes on the properties of the forms he takes. Like, so there's a scene like when he turns into a werewolf. If he's a werewolf, then silver becomes his weakness, and like belief and make believe becomes a big part, and like it's believing in him. Like there is this whole thing like, Bev didn't believe in you, so whatever. But it's kind of like belief that they can hurt him, like really plays in a part where they finally defeat him. Or it, you know? Non-binary monster. I know there's like an LGBTQ thing, like push to like ship it, like Pennywise the Clown with the Babadook. But like, guys, I mean, it does belong to the LGBTQ if you want to push it that way, but like there's actually a serious argument about it that could be had if anyone wants to bullshit their way through that. I might, but also probably not. So one of the big adaptations I don't like is the kids don't figure it out. Like, just like, the kids don't do any planning, they just like, let's go, kid! Belle's all about, let's chase after it, we have to go after it, because I'm a dumb fuck and I want to get all my fans killed. That's what I'm saying, like, Belle like, a lot of the changes make Belle really, like, an asshole. Like, the final, they do the bird park, but instead of it being Stanley's idea, it's Belle's idea, and, like, this was a real dumb adaptation choice, because, like, they actually add more to Stanley's character. He's still kind of, like, a hesitant, like, coward, like, but, like, you know, yeah, it's understandable, Stanley. There's hints to some of the big, like, this Euphasia, and I'm like, oh, are you gonna do, like, the slug fight? No, it's just, like, Pennywise and the Fidge, so. Boring. That's the thing, a lot of the changes they do is just kind of, like, boring. Just, it's boring for horror films, it's boring in comparison to the imagery that appears in the book, so why did you do that? Mike, I do not like what they've did to Mike's character. Stanley's character is explored to, like, his Judaism, like, his what's it called? Bar mitzvah. I'm sorry if I said the female version, but you know, like, what I mean, bat mitzvah. I'm sorry, Jewish people. I don't know a lot of Jews. I've never been to one, whatever, but it's like his bar mitzvah is featured in the film, and now he's the son of a rabbi, so, like, I don't know if that's really important stuff, but it's there now. It's additional stuff that wasn't part of his character. I do not like the changes to Mike, the one bad character in all of Derry. I don't know, I just think because it follows a lot of stereotypes of bad characters, like absent father, and you know, it's addressed, but like, why don't you just to Mike? The first thing Mike goes, he's like with this older gentleman who turns out to be his grandfather, but we're not told that in the first scene, and he's like, you're not my father, and I'm like, who says that to their biological grandfather? And I thought, well, I guess maybe they decided, I get why you would add the grandfather, because like there's important time period stuff that happens to Mike's father, so it would make sense to have that happen to his grandfather, and like have Mike have just like his father be a different character. But like, I don't know why Mike's father was killed. I guess because they wanted to use like the fire imagery from the back spot burning. That's what it's called in the film. I don't know if it's called that in the book. And I think in terms of like timelines, that is not a big thing that happens in the 50s. The other stuff, you know, like from the thing is like every 30 years or something, there's a big thing that happens. There's also not like a big thing that sets off the emotion of what happens. Like, I mean, because technically they could use the scene where, like, they drown the gay guy in the river. And also the weird thing is that it uses, like, a balloon from that scene, and, like, it has a I Heart Dairy balloon, which comes from that part. But it's like, huh? It's like, are you, huh, moment? Oh, yeah, that's a reference to the book. Congratulations to you. There's a lot of scenes with the balloons. The scare changes are really fucking weak. This isn't really a spoiler, but there's not it lets them away every bloody time. Like, there's only a few times where, like, they get away from someone else intervening, but, like, none of the kids get themselves away until, like, the end, and even then it kind of sucks. I think a big problem with this film is, like, none of the kids get themselves away. Like, it just lets them go. It decides that, I'm just messing with you, even though I'm just, like, it just randomly takes kids. All the other times, like, most of the times, like, there was a reason why they got away. Like, they stood up to him, or, like, I mean, that's it, like, is part of, like, them standing up to him is part of them figuring out how to defeat him, and having that would have been a really good thing. In terms of other adaptation, is that instead, I hate the scene with Georgie. Like, you know, he has his arm ripped off, and then, like, then he's calling away, he's still alive, but calling away, screaming, and then he gets dragged back into the sewer. I hate that scene. I absolutely hate it. Because, I don't, like, the thing is, Georgie's body doesn't have to be missing. Like, he does not have to be missing. And I know there's an emotional scene, but I just don't think the payoff is worth it. And even if you're gonna do that, why not have his arm be found instead? Like, his body is missing, but his arm is found. Also, I think that scene is, like, way too long, compared to what time you have. Why have it so long? And I think the big problem with this film is that Pennywise just looks fucking evil. There's never a point where you're like, yeah, Pennywise, you look like a friendly clown that isn't going to eat my arm off. You're totally trustable. Like, you can't just, like, I'm sorry, but, like, you made him look scary as hell. There's never a bit where he doesn't look scary. Like, his eyes going blue to red don't change that. It's like, this is like a real basic lack of understanding of what made it scary. I think it's way too reliant on crowns. Richie is now scared of crowns, but he doesn't even seem that freaked out when he's, like, face to face with it. You know, like, they don't take any of the imagery. It's kind of like, well, here's it. He's gonna dance. Pennywise is gonna dance because he's the dancing clown. He can be anything, but he's always gonna be a clown, and he's always gonna tell you, I'm a clown. He doesn't talk like that. That's how Tim Curry talked. But he's always just like, yeah, I'm a clown. You know, having him look normal is, like, part of the fear. It's kind of like the fear of normality. Having him look like a creepypasta monster just goes away. The scary imagery, I think, like, the probably two iconic things is obvious, like, actual European is, like, the bird, the giant weird bird you appeared twice, that's not in there. We have a creepy woman that comes from a painting. The special effects look terrible. We have a beef visit from the mummy, which, you know, you could do a mummy because, like, who owns a dead body coming back to life? I'm surprised zombies appear really beefily. Which, you know, criminally scary. I think if that was, like, actual... Yeah, they actually did. I think they did use practical effects for that. Most of it wasn't, like, and you could really tell it wasn't there. I'm not a big fan of doing stuff non-practical effect. I think things look better when they have a practical effect base, and then you do computer generated stuff to, like, big that up. You know, like, make it look better. Bad adaptation stuff is, like, all, like, Mike's puppets within the group. Like, Mike doesn't really feel really part of the group, because like the group's pretty much formed before Mike is introduced. And I think if you're gonna change stuff so much, I think it would be important to have all the characters established and then have the important like bonding scenes. I think a lot of the characters' powers are just scrapped and special traits. Bev is just like Bev is just a sex object unless she continues to be that, and fine, whatever. Weird to do with an underage girl, but okay, you sexualized that 14-year-old. Well, she's 15 now, so feel better, guys. Bev is just sexualized. There's a Bowie girl added. Like, she is based on a character from the book, but she breaks his arm in completely different circumstances. Ben! So it's taken him from Mike's character. Mike doesn't really add anything. A lot of these characters don't. Mike doesn't really add anything. A lot of these characters don't. There's a hint at Bev. Like, there's one scene where Bev is really, like, throws a rock and it hits Chas. I don't know. You think I'd remember one of the main antagonists of it, but I don't. But, like, the main Bowie guy, like, yeah, she's a power girl. So, like, her aim is... She's established to having good aim, whatever. Her mother's gone. That's fun. A lot of the scenes in the trailer don't work in the film. Georgie meeting it doesn't work. I don't think it works in the film. The car driving past Ben being attacked by the Bowies does not work in the film. I think it's too slow as it's happening. So Ben, instead of being like an architect, like he did have this relationship with the library, but so basically now all Ben's done is like did weird research about Derry instead of that information coming from Mike, who was like the historian of the group. The emphasis it has on Pennywise just does not work. I just honestly don't think it works. And I don't like how the kids don't have any power. I think the thing about the book was the kids had the power, and the TV adaptation, the kids still have the power. Like, this wasn't coincidence. They planned it. Like, they came up with an idea. They didn't just, like, look at a map and, like, it's all in the sewers. They worked out that all the attacks were near water. Like, they did in the book. And that happens in the movie, kind of. Like, I think the book does a better, like, yeah, Bill is the main character, but I think the book does a better job of, like, saying, well, this is why, this person is important. This is why Richie should die. This is why this person plays an important part. Even, I hate Richie, but still, you can, like, he adds something to the group that could have been worked better. She's still the funny one, I guess, in this, and, like, he's fine character. I think this film lacks a heart as well. I don't know, there's just stuff added about the characters I don't think works. In the book, the Bowie guy poisoned Mike's dog, and now he's like, the thing he apparently said to Mike, I wish I'd been the one to burn your parents to death. I'm like, if he had, like, confessed to burning his parents to death, like, I'd be okay. I mean, because, like, this is a kid that just, like, unprovoked decides to cut up write his name into a kid's stomach in this thing. I think that's a lot of things. Like, a lot of scenes are, like, cut. About the book, like, there was, like, scenes where they were just, like, little shits. And now it's just like, we're so good. This Bowie guy went after you. Now we're BFFs. And there was, like, an emphasis put on that there was a magic kind of bonding the group together, and, like, certain people didn't belong in the group, even if they were a target for harassment by the Bowie. But this video is probably too long now. This sequel's probably going to be really bad because they've already used the imagery that came into the adult part of the book. They've killed the Bowie, who would go on to attack them and be part of that effort. So I don't know, like, I guess he's not that important, but I still think it's weird that you would kill one of the characters that you caught. So it's all gonna be on Pennywise. Oh, that's another thing with the well. Like, why are we, like, referencing the ring? Because that is a well under that house, but it's, like, not a big deal. But now the well's important to the lore of Pennywise, the dancing clown. Oh, fuck. Also, it's like, I see in the book, it's also established that Pennywise, the dancing clown, was a real person, and then it took his persona on to mess with children. I mean, this information also comes from it, so it might be lying, but I think it's probably the truth. Summarize, I think the sequel's gonna be a bigger mess than this film. As a horror film, it's okay. It's not the worst horror film I've ever seen. I don't think it makes good references to, like, 80s stuff. I know this is, like, currently it is the biggest made the most money a horror film has ever made, and it's because it's piggybacked on it, you know? It's, like, piggybacked on, like, it's, like, piggybacking on Stephen King, because, like, Stephen King is known for his horror, and, you know, Dark Tower bombed, so Stephen King had to get his money some other way, because that's how it works. Only one Stephen King thing can make money. The Shining earned a lot of that money for a long while. Maximum Override. I'm not doing a review of that. Don't ask. This was okay. I think if I hadn't read the book and I hadn't seen the Tim Curry beautiful performance, maybe I wouldn't hate it as much. I would probably have still been pissed off when I saw my Freddy Krueger references butchered. But that's the thing. It's like, it's not scarier than the TV version, and like, it has no reason for that. It has tons of swearing. I just, like, the kids never feel in danger, and I think that's a big problem. The kids, there should have been danger. Threat of death should have actually been there, even after it's been established that he's actually killing kids. It doesn't feel that way, especially with Georgie being the one that's, like, Georgie's, like, the only, like, character that we love. Anyway, that any character, like, Georgie's the only character that's established that gets killed. Oh, that's another thing. Bev gets kidnapped for no fucking reason. Like, I don't know why Bev was kidnapped. Like, because she's like, to be Bill's wife. Bev is Bill's wife. So, like, they've already portrayed that whole comatose things with Bev, and I don't fucking like that. Like, oh yeah, kidnap the only female in the group. I mean, there's not enough good female characters, guys, and there's like 6 boys, so let's take the only girl. Let's knock her out of the action. Let her just be a sex object for the boys. Let's spend a lot of time on it. A lot of people slut shame her, but she's not a slut. She's not. It's important that she's not. It actually would have been fucking interesting if Bev had been a slut. That would have been an interesting thing. Of course, slut is a made up thing, but, you know. She was actually... If she did the thing she was rumored to do, it would have made her an interesting character. Instead of just like, I'm here to be motivation. And have weird... Oh yeah, the weird stuff with her father's still there. Because that's horrifying any time period. It doesn't go full blown, I'm gonna check your virginity, because she hits him. She takes him out. Because we weren't gonna have him chase her across Derry. Which probably would have been a better point of, like, emphasizing the evil of Derry, because, like, nobody fucking did shit when he was, like, chasing her. So at chapter 1. It takes from a lot of horror films that are better than it, like The Ring and the Nightmare on Elm Street series. And it just makes you compare them, like, and you're already comparing it to Tim Curry, so, you know, it's gonna lose. I didn't find any of the imagery scary, and, like, a lot of stuff seemed to have been filmed for trailer bait. I mean, that worked for them. They've made, like, a massive amount of money. So, you know, that worked for them, so good on them, whatever. I just don't think it's good. It's not terrible, but it's not good, so... I mean, and that's coming from somebody who didn't even like the book that much. It's just... I mean, the current meme is like, it's like, you know, you've probably seen that meme of like, of George saying, basically telling it to fuck off instead of taking the boat. Like, cause like, basically like, no, you're scary as fuck and I can make an our boat. So, you know, that's a current meme. So, you know, you've did such a good job. Such a good job, Andy. Of course, this is a studio film, so it's one of those things you don't know exactly who would say over what, but I can't imagine it would have been like, make the crown so creepy, like just so creepy that no one would go near it. Actually, that probably would be the stupid thing a Hollywood exec would say without really thinking about the fact that a 6-year-old decides to trust this creepy ass looking thing. You know, like 6-year-olds are scared of monsters, it's established. Why was his basement flooded? I'm gonna stop now. So that's my thoughts on it. It's not great. It's not particularly bad, it's just, it's not good. Once you compare it to other stuff, it's just, it's not good. It's not better than Nightmare on Elm Street, and it's not better than The Ring, and it's not better than Tim Curry. Because, I mean, that adaptation isn't great. The TV adaptation has a lot of issues, but Tim Curry saves the day. So, no. That's what you're competing against. And, when like, setting yourself up to comparison was probably a bad idea. Really a bad idea. So, I'm open to doing more of these, like, I'm open to do movie reviews and everything, so if there's any movies you would like me to do this with, or just any movies you would like me to talk about, I'm happy to do it. So I will see you weirdos next time, where I will be exploring how childhood trauma can really make a great horror film, if you do it right. Farewell. With that, watch you well, and I really hope you can't hear me like moving this light. You're so noisy, Candle. But I really like this song from Dream Warriors. It's the best. So, widows, I will see you next time. Where